Good evening, Greg here, burning both ends, burning on the back end of Thursday. It is the last day of May 2018, 11:23 p.m. Pacific, and it's been a very powerful week. Very excited about I-Corps. I fly out to Colorado on Monday. Been a big prep week, trying to wrap up some loose ends at work and on my other projects so that way I can focus on I-Corps, but I-Corps is just, it's so much fun, I have to admit, doing this work. It's really like being, in a startup and just, putting together the systems, making the connections, doing the, setting up the interviews has just been a lot of fun. And today was a big day for it. So, and it's interesting, like where we're going to start. But tonight's topic is this I-Corps and just the fact that my preparation's going well. I'm really hitting it, and I'm excited. And, this is a result of this self-control, self-discipline that I've been instilling in my life since the beginning of the year. And just kind of this full commitment. I'm just all in on this. And it's a great feeling to be in, or to have, not to be, you aren't in a feeling. It's a great feeling to have, just to kind of give that full commitment. I've hit all the teams, all the instructors, and all the program managers with invitations to connect. I'm not going to hit them all before Colorado, but at least that intention's there, and that kind of cultural capital is being built. So that's pretty cool. And so where we're going to start is an interesting quote: "Plan your work and work your plan." And that quote came from when I was a kid. My dad signed me up for some martial arts. I never really got into it, I have to admit. I really didn't get it. I'm not much of a fighter, so I did, and I think I was too young to kind of understand the discipline part of it and why that was important. But one of the things that our sensei had was he had this list of like rules of life that he would go through. And one of them was plan your work and work your plan. And for some reason that stuck in my head, and I've always appreciated that, especially as an engineer, for engineering projects. I mean, you don't plan and things go sideways quickly. And I've been on both sides of good planning and bad planning and seeing the results of each. And so I really I see a lot of value in planning. And one of the challenges with planning is that folks can look at that and see it as a waste of time because it can be kind of an arduous task. It can take a lot of work. There's that flashing again. I'm not sure what that is. It can seem like progress is not being made. But, good planning can be done relatively quickly. It might still be hard work, but it can be done efficiently. And that you've had good planning when you get into action, everyone kind of knows what to do. And when things go sideways, the whole team doesn't go sideways, right? Maybe the project does, but the team stays in a good spot and stays in good communication and solves the problems, right? That's good planning right there. So let's get into like these three aspects of I-Corps so far. So systemization, and so I'm working the Smartsheet. So if you haven't heard of Smartsheet or you don't know what it is, I definitely think you should check it out. If you ever use spreadsheets, Smartsheet is a logical choice, like a collaborative cloud-based choice. I love Google Sheets. Smartsheet has a lot more like collaborative functionality. Definitely check it out. One of its hallmarks is that it can be used as a replacement for Microsoft Project. I mean, not a full replacement, but a most of the way replacement. It's also really easy to build web forms with it. It can be embedded in a Google site very easily, which is very helpful. And you can embed different flavors of it. You can embed just a view-only version. You can embed in a fully editable version. I think editable is a word. If it's not, it should be. And if it's not, tonight we will consider it a word, so editable. And so I'm building this Smartsheet, and so it's a Smartsheet that's going to have all of our contacts, all the interviews, all the hypotheses, and all of like just the general business ideas, right? And then I built a web form for it that allows the team to upload just whatever ideas they want, just a few sentences and an attachment if they want. So just very simple. And then, like I said, I'm embedding it in our Google site so that way it's easy to get to. And then I'm using conditional formatting in the Smartsheet, so that way things turn different colors, and so it kind of gives it a dashboard feel. So for example, when a new idea comes in through the web form, it goes to the top of the sheet, and I can make it such that it's like the font is twice as big and bold, so you can't miss it, and you almost want to get it out of that new idea state quickly, right? Because it's annoying to look at. That's kind of a strategy that I'll use. Is I'll make something look really ugly. That way, it forces me to want to move it down, like through a workflow of some sort. Like, here's an idea. What happens to happen to it? This is a potential interview, or this is an hypothesis for the business canvas, or is this just a general idea on tech transfer and maybe a way to approach a partnership? So how do I take that idea and kind of, once again, bin it? I like that term, to bin something, to put it in the right bin, so that way when I'm naturally going through my process later, I'm going to come across it. Right? So when I'm naturally thinking about, okay, this week we got to think about partnerships. Let's go to the partnership bin and see what we've been putting in it for the last 3 months. Stuff like that. I think that's important, to, as far as managing like chaos at a chaotic, because it's going to get pretty crazy. I know this. I've been warned. And so right now it's like the calm before the storm. And so the more systems I can put in place, I can handle this stuff. And I'm going to put a shortcut on my phone, so that way I can access this web form. And so an idea just shoots at me, or one of my teammates just comes out of nowhere and has, hey, try this. I can just throw it up in the cloud, and then I'll catch it later when I go to review the Smartsheet. So So and then not only did I build it, I built it today, but I sent the form out to the team. I think that they've started using it, but it's pretty straightforward. There's only 2 fields in the form: a field to type something in and a field to upload something. So it should be pretty straightforward. And then I've also tried breaking it a few times, right? With the Google site, with the other things, I'm messing with the columns, and I'm realizing what columns I need. And sometimes you just need to put like functional columns in, like a checkbox, or you need to have enough drop downs, so that way you can filter it through a bunch of different scenarios. Like, where are we in the interview process? Are we in the setup? How many different setups, attempts are we going to try? I chose 3 as far as like 3 touches to a potential interview before we say, okay, no dice, and try to make each one a different type of touch. Maybe start with an email, then a phone call, and then I don't know what a third one could be. Knocking on their door. That always freaks them out. So anyway, so I'm starting to push on the Smartsheet, trying to break it, trying to see where it breaks. I also want to see how the other team members use it or don't use it. See how much they just kind of default to that knee jerk of just fire off an email kind of a thing. So that's the systemization. Is I'm starting with the Smartsheet, and then the connections, continuing to connect with other teams and instructors, and it's just what I'm realizing is there's just this ridiculous body of wisdom in this cohort, and it's up to me to access it. And the only way I'm going to access it is by talking to the people and kind of asking an open-ended. It's just like customer discovery interviews, right? Ask an open-ended question and then shut up and let them just, right? Let the dam break and let the info come out, and then just add follow-up little comments and questions to keep the information coming. So I just feel I'm going to learn so much during this 8 weeks. It's really I'm really lucky to be a part of this, and also what's kind of interesting is just the different personalities that come through with these different folks. Some of a lot of these people are from other lab-like environments and very research-based environments. Some of these, more the instructors are very entrepreneurial and they own businesses, and so they're very industrial. So just a whole bunch of different types of personalities, and it's cool to once you get on the phone, like the context is set. It's kind of interesting. So I think that's really cool to see that and learn about it, and be in those spaces, and just kind of really move forward with that thought that everyone here has something amazing to contribute to this cohort, and it's up to me to find out what that is. And it might not be obvious on the front end, or it might be. Some people, it's just they come out guns blazing, right? And some people, they're kind of quiet, and you got to dig and you got to pry, and you got to, oh, this is what you really can bring to the table, is you are really good at that. So I think that's a cool place to be in. And then the third piece is the interviews. Just I have to set up 5 interviews for when we're in Colorado. Shouldn't be a problem. We have 2 like 4 or 5 hour blocks of time on Wednesday and Thursday to go out and do these interviews. The challenge for us is that our applications aren't well represented in Colorado as far as the industry goes. So it's not like there are a lot of companies that do what we need there. And so one of our applications is pretty like spread, pretty much everywhere in the country you can find one of our applications, and so that's going to be easy. But the other 2, they're not really there because they have to do with like semiconductor manufacturing. But what I'm doing is through one of my connections. One of my connections was one of our program people, and she runs a nonprofit, and she, like, the whole purpose of the nonprofit is that she is a connector, right? She connects other people to create collaboration. So her network is pretty ridiculous. She told me that I can go on LinkedIn and look through it, and pretty much anyone I find, I can use her as a referral. And so I did exactly that. I went through her LinkedIn, and as I'm going through it, I'm getting concerned because a lot of clean tech things going on there, and that's not really what I'm looking for. But so what I was finding is a bunch of like really like savvy like investors and like people that are like technology experts and investing in technology and tech transfer experts and entrepreneurs. And so I found about 8 to 10 of these people, and I figured these are great people just to talk to more now on the pure business side. And maybe I'm even thinking that I might break this I-Core rule about you don't talk about your technology because you don't want to bias the interview. I might want to intentionally show them the technology to get them kind of thinking on our side of the table, right? These are not really customers that I'm talking to. These are more like people that are going to help me figure out what we have to do. And so this is kind of, I'm almost seeing like a different type of interview going on here. I'm curious to see how the I-Core folks will receive that from me, because I know that they're pretty strict about some of this stuff. But I mean, from my point of view, is I want to be as creative and as however I can get really good data in is what I'm looking for. And if I can enroll a very experienced entrepreneur and someone that's done tech transfer and someone that's been in industry for a while, if I can enroll them to helping me look at it from our point of view, to understand where this technology could go and who to talk to, right? That's what I'm looking for, is help with the path and then tap into their network for referrals. So from one of these like kind of this kind of like not new, but this kind of alternate type of interview, I think out of it could come 3 to 5 true customer interviews. So we'll see. But I've gotten a really good response. So I'm using LinkedIn. I'm using the Connect feature, right? So they are not one of my, they're not in my network. So I use the Connect feature. I add a note, right? Because you can add a little note. And I'm name dropping this woman who said, I could. And so it's the power of the referral. It's very powerful. And I have to admit, I'm getting a great response. So of these, I think 8 or 9 people I sent out, I've gotten, I think 4 or 5 responses already just in a few hours. That's why I love LinkedIn. I love the direct messaging. It works great. And so set up 2 interviews so far. I got 2, ones that we just got, now we're in a time frame. And so more than halfway there already, and just 1 day of work, and then gonna hit some more folks tomorrow, and then follow up on Monday. And definitely by Tuesday, we should have this locked in with no problem. And then kind of part of the fun of this is just going around knocking on doors and just, hey, we're here. We'd like to talk to you. Do, that kind of thing. So we're definitely, going to do some of that. So, and then there was one little curveball that was sent to me. So one of the contacts, when I hit the connect button, and I guess this is something that people can set up in LinkedIn, is I needed his email address to send this connection, which is interesting. I've never seen that before. And so how do I find his email address? Well, it wasn't too difficult, I have to admit. A few searches on the web with this person's name and their company name, and I found out pretty quickly what their company email address looks like. And then I just type this person's name, and I write, at, and then like what the email address looks like, and then just the word email, and that seemed to kick it up. And what I found is I found some odd spreadsheet with this person's name and email. It looks like something from like maybe a conference they attended or something like that. So it's pretty easy to find an email address. And so we'll see how that one goes. And then of course we just do classic Google searches, right? Just search the application and then Denver, Colorado, and see what comes up. And we found a bunch of companies, and so this is more now kind of cold calling, walking in the front door, using the company web form. We'll see what happens with those. Now, I've had like hit or miss success with those. Sometimes you get a really an office manager who this typically comes to. They're really on point, and they send it to the right person, and you get a response very quickly. Other times it just goes into the black hole of online web forums, and it's never to be heard from again. So that does happen. And then one of the cool things is that if it's a big company and it's not obvious who to contact, typically there are ways to search through the company and find with a title or in an area where you think someone might be helpful. So we'll see how that goes. And also, in my email, I'm saying, hey, I'm part of a class. I'm part of a class run by Department of Energy. Can you help us? People love helping students. So, and it's folks are really not intimidated by students. It's a very good place to be. So that typically works too. So execute my plan here. Got another good day of work tomorrow. It's gonna be Friday, so it's gonna be the weekend soon. And what I'm doing is I'm prioritizing the iCar work during the workday, because that's when I need people to respond, and then I'm putting my other work kind of in the evenings and on the weekends and whatnot. I have a couple of drawings to bang out this weekend. Should be fun. And then it's Colorado, and then next week is going to be pretty much all iCar all the time. I mean, it's going to be like drinking from a fire hose, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it. So. And you will hear a lot more about this program as I get through it. And I think a lot of posts are going to turn out like this one, kind of what I'm working on, how I'm, pounding on this thing. Because I've gotten through a lot of the wisdom that I've collected. I think a few more wisdom-like posts will show up, and then kind of haphazardly as we go through this thing. But I was able to really kind of load the front end with a lot of this. Relationships and timing and collaboration, and like the CPR and code of honor, and a bunch of these other things that I've really learned the last decade and have been using. But there's only so much of that. So eventually I'm going to run out of those that kind of content, and so it's going to be more like what I'm doing in the moment. So this iCar is that's going to be 8 weeks of great content. The phone call I had this morning with one of the instructors, I was like, I should be recording this. I mean, he was just giving out some just insanely awesome wisdom. And so hopefully I can get some of these people to do some interviews, to capture some content while I'm there in Colorado. That would be really cool. I'm going to try to do that. And then post on SoundCloud or something, because it'll just be audio. It's really easy to capture. With my lavaliers and my Y cable, I'm psyched to finally use that. I haven't really been able to use that. I mean, I've tested it a few times, but I haven't really been able to use it yet. So that's where we're at. So this is this is my hot throw. This is what's going on. The cold throw is just, showing up in Colorado and, kind of getting there before I arrive, kind of a thing. And just making sure everyone knows that I'm the person to ask for help. I'm the person that is going to be, this is kind of like go-to person for almost anything. And I like being in that place because I feel that role very well. So anyway, that'll do it for tonight. Please subscribe if you like what you hear. Ask questions down below. Comment. I want to hear about your journey, your challenges, your problems. I'd love to help solve any of them if I could. If I could be of service, I'd love to. So please ask. That can be the toughest part. I know that's true for me. I've linked a bunch of motivational videos down in the description. Check those out. That's really what got me on this path in 2018. I've also linked a bunch of awesome music, some psychedelic ambient. Post number 23 is my jam right now in that Psy Ambient website, so check that out. And then really into this DJ Tasha Blank. Just loving her, this tribal beats that she's throwing out. A lot of great like tribal singing. I'm just really into it. So yeah. Oh yeah, and she's got a ton of stuff on SoundCloud, so you can listen to her for now hours and hours, maybe 30 or 40 hours of DJ sets on there. So that's today's post. Thank you very much for watching. Get some rest. Tomorrow's a big day. Go out, inspire people, and yeah, just do great things. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. The beats in the background, G Money, my alter ego. I've been drumming for a couple decades. If you like the beats in the background, you can hear them on SoundCloud. There's a link in the description, and I'll leave it there. So yeah, get some sleep, inspire folks tomorrow, do great things. Talk soon.